This is my third attempt at a breastfeeding video while Jaden is playing in his crib for the moment. So quick backstory. We had a natural childbirth at Women's Birth and Wellness Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And I'll try and go over that experience in a different video. And I keep looking up and over because I'm on the floor of his bedroom while he is struggling to get something in his crib. So, our breastfeeding story, that evening when he was born, which was March 6th, 2013, his first attempt at breastfeeding was lacking, to say the least. We were told he was sucking but not latching. I had absolutely no idea what to look for, how it would feel, of course, being a first-time mom. So I took their word for it. I was shown how to hand express some colostrum, was given a soft plastic cup and syringe to try and supplement him with whatever I hand expressed. And was told that we get additional help at our home visit, which was supposed to be a 2-day visit. And they let us go after our doula promised she'd visit us the next day. Well, and I keep looking down because I sort of have a timeline written out because it's a long story. Well, the next day we got our postpartum home visit instead of at the 2-day mark because there were a lot of March births, and so it was the next day when she had an opening in our area, or like 3 to 5 days out, which would have been like the following weekend. He was born on a Wednesday evening, so it would have been like Saturday or Sunday or Monday or Thursday. So we got Thursday. So after everything, he had his PKU test and weight and everything else. He was tuckered out. So I could not wake that 1-day-old baby up to nurse for anything. But I was pretty confident that it would figure itself out. Extremely optimistic and happy. I think I was still, sorry, I was just gonna be looking off to the left a lot. I was extremely optimistic and still riding those postpartum hormones like nobody's business. Hey kiddo. Okay, so it's become a mommy and me video. So, so the next day at our postpartum visit, we did not breastfeed, no. But the day after that, my doula came and dropped off my encapsulated placenta. And while she was there, she helped us with positioning and sort of reminded me about the sideline position, which was a lifesaver because I could not keep this boy latched on sitting upright in any position. Tried the football hold, the cross cradle, just everything, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working at all. So at least with the sideline, the bed sort of helped the baby rather than me trying to figure out how to get the boppy to hold a 6-pound, 11-ounce newborn. By the way, at his 1-day postpartum visit, he had lost a good amount of his brown fat, which is that initial weight loss they expect all babies to go through, and he was 6 pounds 4 ounces. So, the doula dropped by on 3/8. Hey. Another thing I forgot to mention is that at his birth, our doula and the attending midwife kind of voiced suspicion that maybe he had a tongue tie and that was why he couldn't latch on. I didn't really think anything else of it. When our doula came by and got a better look at him and helped us latch on a bit more, she revoiced that suspicion and said that it looked as though he probably had a submucosal posterior tongue tie. Not the most common, more difficult to evaluate and fix, and just less recognized as a problem. So I got an appointment with an ENT. I'm sort of glazing over the gory middle details. Let's just say that breastfeeding was starting to hurt really bad after around the 9th or 10th, which is about 3 or 4 days after he was born. it was starting to hurt. It was like I had hit a threshold between it looking like it's not working and it feeling like it's not working. And it just was not working. Jaden's trying to crawl all over my legs, which he can't actually crawl yet, so that's all of the extra movement. Yeah. So, I got an appointment, just the earliest appointments I could get with the 2 ENTs that I knew of, Dr. Brown and Dr. Heffron. So my first appointment was with Dr. Brown. My doula had warned me, which she's amazing, by the way, and I'll post her information down below in case anyone is in this area and needs a doula anytime soon. But she had mentioned that Dr. Brown was less likely to both recognize and clip any posterior tongue tie, much less the submucosal one, which means it's beneath the floor of the mouth. And let's just say she was right. That was a thoroughly frustrating appointment on March 11th. Man, I was angry after that appointment. I was so angry that this professional ear, nose, and throat doctor told me that there was absolutely nothing wrong with my baby's mouth. And just a few other derogatory things, and so I left. I mean, it's not my job to convince a professional that there's a problem. It's their job to recognize it and fix it. Needless to say, I also got him appointments with a well-known chiropractor in our area, Dr. Hedgepeth, who is amazing because he was sort of favoring one side nursing over the other. And babies get just as banged up in childbirth as we do. So he had an appointment with her the next day, March 12th, as well as we had an appointment with the head lactation consultant at Women's Birth and Wellness Center, just because they were concerned with our breastfeeding as well, and we had plenty of follow-up phone calls and whatnot. I will say the chiropractic appointment was awesome, and the lactation consultant appointment was pointless. She suggests it was a positioning issue. I voiced my concerns that he had a tongue tie. She did quickly insert that she wasn't as familiar with those, but also didn't think that it was a problem. That if we worked on some exercises to get him to use his tongue properly, everything would just work out. I wasn't buying it at this point. After doing my own reading and looking at some research by professionals such as the CW Jenna site and Dr. Kotlau, I was pretty sure my baby had a tongue tie. Submucosal posterior tongue tie, to be exact. So, I wasn't accepting that opinion, that positioning on a couch that wasn't mine would help. Around the 15th, I had to start a pretty intense healing regime because my nipples were just horrible shape. Bleeding occasionally, scabbing over. So the healing regime I can put down below. And just a quick overview of it, I would, after every single nursing session, which just made it an even longer process, I would rinse with white wine vinegar and then soak for about a minute, or rinse with a normal saline solution, which has about the salinity of tears. So it did not burn, neither did the vinegar, ironically enough. After that, I would let them dry, and then I would apply a little bit of expressed breast milk and let that dry thoroughly. And then I would apply the tiniest little dab of all-purpose nipple ointment that I compounded myself, and I do sell that now. And then after I rubbed that in as best as I could, I would apply hydrogels and then put them back in the bra. So that was my healing regime after every single nursing session on each side. Yeah. Hey. And that started around the 15th of March. So obviously I was getting desperate to do so much to heal my nipples and prevent infection. So I called the second office that I was familiar with, Dr. Heffron's office. And you know, I had already gotten an appointment for about another week and a half out, but I just could not wait that long. So I called the following Monday, the 18th, again, and just begged for any opening because, I mean, it was bad. It was bad. And I got it. So we had an appointment with Dr. Heffron on March 18th. About 30 seconds in, he was like, oh, here's a lip tie and a tongue tie that would be reasonable for me to cut if you want me to. And I was like, yes, yes, please cut it. That is awesome. He was like, you know, you can hold him if you're comfortable with it, or we can have someone else hold him. And I was like, oh my God, I can't deal with this. It's gonna be bloody, but I held my baby. Baby head was over here and I was looking like this, and I was like, ah! He squirmed, he screamed, he was more angry than hurt. I nursed him immediately after. There was definitely a difference immediately after. It was not perfect. It did not hurt, but it was a little bit easier. Needless to say, the stretching exercises afterwards are a nightmare. He hated it. He started to anticipate them. I tried to do at least 5 times a day instead of after every single nursing. Because I couldn't do it after every single nursing. He just hated me. So we did that. I started a plan with an IBCLC, which stands for International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, to supplement him, and I needed to up my supply because he had right before his tongue was clipped, a second weight dip besides the normal brown fat weight loss that I mentioned. And I had another appointment, a weight check for him at 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and it took him 3 weeks to get back up to birth weight. So almost a week, a little over a week after he was clipped, he was back up to birth weight, which normally they want to see that in 2 weeks. Where are you going? So I started a supplementing regime, which was pretty much pump both sides after every nursing. Sorry, it's my Moby. I was going to put him on and put him to sleep, but he just doesn't sleep tired yet. So pump both sides after each nursing to sort of tell my breasts, make more, I need more. And 3 fenugreek capsules 3 times a day. Mother's milk tea as often as I remembered, so about 3 times a day. And the pumping, yes. So as far as supplementing, we used a Haberman bottle, which I have a separate video for, to help improve his suck while getting him more milk. Hey, are you upset? Are you upset at your mommy? So we used a Haberman bottle to supplement in between as many nursings as I could. I felt really bad giving him a bottle. I was so determined to exclusively breastfeed, which is what we're doing now, by the way. He does not get any bottles by choice. His choice. He refuses them. So, we would use the Haberman to give him express breast milk in between feedings. At most, I think the most we did it was 4 times a day. At most. When in reality it probably should have been a little bit more than that, but after like a week we started to see the about an ounce a day weight gain we wanted to see. Yeah. And at a weight check appointment with the Women's Birth and Wellness Center, I was referred to Joan Comrie, who is speech/occupational maybe therapist here in the Raleigh area, just to continue help improving his suck and speed the weaning off the bottle and get him effectively nursing all by himself. That was April 2nd. He was just shy of a month old. I thought she was crazy, to be honest. That's a quick summary of that appointment, and I'm sure she thinks I'm crazy because I refused to do what she suggested and I never went back. But basically she wanted me to exclusively feed him with a plain old regular bottle nipple. She thought the Haberman was a horrible idea despite me telling her that his sucking had already improved with its use. And when I asked her why she thought it was such a horrible idea, she told me that because I self-stated that I was not a mom to just follow whatever I'm told, and I like to get all the information, to Google it and find out for myself why using the Haberman to help him learn to suck was such a horrible idea. And she basically told me that if we were not successful, it's because I didn't do exactly what I was told. So I never went back. And that was kind of the last straw for me. I decided not to see any more lactation consultants besides the IBCLC that helped me with healing and everything in the beginning, and who I eventually befriended. But I was just tired of all the conflicting opinions. I was told by 2 LCs at the birth center, the ENT that we saw first, and a midwife, that he was not tongue-tied, that if he was, it wasn't a problem, and that we should need to work on positioning and do tongue exercises and suck exercises, which ironically enough he refused to do. He would not suck on anybody's finger. Once that initial newborn suck reflex was gone, he would just look at you like you were crazy and cry. So I decided that he was my baby, no one could make me do anything I didn't want to, and that the physiological problem was fixed and things were going well enough that I did not cringe at every nursing, so he could just figure out the rest on his own. And you know what? He is 5 months and 1 week and he's doing great. His latch isn't always perfect, but it doesn't hurt, and he's a cute little chunker, so it worked out. If you got any questions, post them below. There's a lot more to our story, and I'll post the link of the written version below as well. It's also in the video about the Haberman bottle. But that's the short of it, and I guess I decided to go ahead and get this up. I've been putting it off, and it's World Breastfeeding Month for a couple more weeks, so I figured, hey, let's get our story out there. Thanks for listening.